Hey there, Pojo and YouTube. This is Rico the Fox Kid with my second video article. Well, actually, it's my fifth if you count the 4 parts of my first video as each separate videos. I do apologize for that. I was pretty nervous since it was my first video and just ended up rambling. I'll try to keep it a lot shorter this time, but we'll just see how it goes. So, this time I'm going to be showing you my deck list for the Lightsworns after the March ban list. Since they did get some pretty big hits, but they're not out yet, so I'll just show you how that works. I have tested this a little bit, but I'm pretty sure someone might find a better build. The very first thing that's obvious is that you still be running Judgment Dragon, and I know that I only have one right there, and so don't comment on these like, oh, why are you only running one Judgment Dragon? You should be running 2. I'm only running 1 because that's all I have. I don't have any other Judgment Dragons. I would get another one if I could afford it and I was allowed to. But 1 only works for right now. But obviously, if you have 2 Judgment Dragon, run 2. So don't follow me in running only 1 if you have the option for a second one. Run 2. And then there's more of the basic stuff. There's 3 Celestias. Those are obviously big for the deck. I just run 3 because it's more destruction than Judgment Dragon. Celestia just gives you enough of an advantage. And then there's the obvious stuff to run. There's the 1 Arcus. There are some people discussing how running 2 might be better right now. I still think that running 1 Arcus right now is good because he does have a very good effect because a lot of cards target now, but he has really low attack, so 1 battle will pretty much kill him. So he's good in defense mode, but not really anything else. I'd really suggest just running 1. Then there's the basic things like Groth and Jane. You can only have 1 Lumina now, but she's still very important, so still run her. And there's the 2 Lilas. And another Lightsworn that's probably going to be, you're going to see a lot more of him, is definitely Ryko. Because now that the game is a lot slower, we're going to need more control in the deck, and Ryko gives you that. Ryko works really well against things like Liar Beast. They work okay against Blackwings, but really, Bora really kills Ryko pretty badly. But he's still very good. I run 2 because I have to, and I also think 3 is a little much. It's like some people are running 3, but if you have room, I guess you could run 3, but I only run 2, so, and it works fine. And then there's also 3 Wolves. A lot of people think that just running 3 Wolves is too much of a disadvantage because you can dead draw enough of them, and there aren't as many cards that can discard. Like, we lost 2 Luminas, so Wolf lost some uses, but I think 3 is really good because the chance of you dropping 1, that it just really pays off, and there are a bunch of other cards in the deck that I'll get into later that can help get Wolf out, so I'll go into that later. And then there's more basic stuff like the 2 Honest. We lost 1, we still would be running 2. And then there's the Necro Gardener and the Plague Spreader. And then there are a few monsters here that are pretty unusual that not many Lightsworn decks ran, but I think they are pretty necessary, or at least good right now. First 2 are Trigaladia and Gore's the Emissary of Darkness. It's just, these guys are just too good to not run because they get you out of really tight situations, or they punish your opponent just too well, so running both of them is really good. And then this is another one that I find pretty interesting. It's Soul of Purity and Light. I run it just because it gets you another free monster pretty fast with how much of the deck mills from the top of your deck and gets light monsters into the graveyard. Soul of Purity and Light really isn't necessary. You could use it if you're running Archflame Christia, but if you want to find a good replacement for Soul of Purity and Light, I highly suggest a second Judgment Dragon. That's really just why I'm running Soul of Purity and Light, because I only have 1. You could also use Chaos Sorcerer, seeing how there's 4 darks in there. There's the Gore's Trag, and then there's Necro Gardener and Plague Spreader, but that's a little less likely to pull off, so I really suggest going with the second Judgment Dragon if you don't like Soul of Purity and Light. And then this is another one that I thought would be pretty interesting, and I don't remember exactly, but I think some of the very, very, very old Lightsworn builds ran this sometimes. It's Freed the Brave Wanderer. He's free destruction for any stronger monster as long as you remove 2 lights from your graveyard, and that's just like Soul Appearing Light. That'll be pretty easy to pull off with all the monsters in your graveyard. So Freed's, he isn't necessary, but he's pretty good to have, I guess. And those are the monsters. So now I'll go into the spells. Spells are pretty, there are some spells that are pretty straightforward still. You should still be running the 1 charge you can, and you should be running 2 Gold Sarcophagus, but like Judgment Dragon, I only have 1. If you want room for Gold Sarcophagus, then maybe drop Soul Purity of Light, or maybe just drop Freed the Brave Wanderer, but if you have 2, run 2, I only have 1. Then Heavy Storm is an obvious choice, and then still run 3 Solar Recharge. You need the draw power. And then there's also some very unusual spell cards in here that weren't in Lightsworn before. First one is Card Destruction, and that will just that just fills the duty that Lumina can't do as well anymore because there's only 1 of her, and that's replenishing your hand for better advantage, and that'll just get rid of stuff that is really bad in your hand, like Wolf or Plague Spreader or Necrogardna, and it just helps you get through your deck faster, so Card Destruction is a good idea. And then the second one I'm going to show you is Foolish Burial. It's this is pretty good now that since charge is down to 1 and you need more things to search out the deck, and there are 4 really good targets to search with Foolish Burial. There's the 3 Wolves, and then there's Necrogardna, and then there's also Plague Spreader. It's just anything you need. You can even dump Judgment Dragon to get it back with Beckoning Light or something, but Foolish Burial is pretty good now. And then this is where I might get some criticism. It's 2 Pot of Avarice, and that's because Pot of Avarice goes completely against things like Lumina and Judgment Dragon, but there are things in the deck that I will show you later that just really help out with Pot of Avarice, and the format's a lot slower, so you might mill too fast, and to get the cards back you need Pot of Avarice, and it really just could just be that I run 1 Judgment Dragon, but Pot of Avarice just makes Judgment Dragon easier to get back. But so really you could drop Pot of Avarice if you wanted to, but I think running 2 right now is a good idea, and that's also because there are more cards I'm going to show you. And then this one is pretty interesting to think of. It's Reinforcement of the Army. Like I said, Charge the Light Brigade is now at 1, so we need more searching power, and there's I think 4 cards in here that you can search for with Reinforcement of the Army. There's Freed the Brave Wanderer, there's Necrogardna, there's Jane, and there's Ralph. Okay, so there's 4 targets. You probably don't want to search Necrogardna though, so there's 3 good targets, and then there's 1 more that you can search if you need to, but Reinforcement of the Army is pretty good in Lightsworn now. It's not a necessity, but it should be something you can think of. And then now for the traps. Most Lightsworns really only ran Beckoning Light back before the list came out, but still keep Beckoning Light. There's some people think that you should start running 3 because we lost a lot of the good cards, and that's really not a good idea because it just proves to be really bulky. It's like getting a dead hand of at least 2 Beckonings isn't really a good thing. So still run only 2 Beckonings. And then there's Mirror Force and Torrential Tribute, which are staples now because we lost the defenses of Necrogardna. We even lost 1 Honest, so we need more defenses, so Mirror Force and Torrential will fulfill that. And then here's one that people are starting to look into, and when this card first came out, people just overlooked it, and that is Lightsworn Barrier. And I apologize for this one being proxy. I'm getting one tomorrow from a friend of mine, so that's why that's there. But yeah, I'm going to have 2 Lightsworn Barriers. But the number of Lightsworn Barriers that you should run, it's really, I can't figure it out yet. It's like some people are saying run 1, and then not many people are saying run 3, so I'm just going with 2 right now. But Lightsworn Barrier is really good because it fulfills Necrogardna and protecting your monsters. It's really good against Gladiator Beasts because their attacks will never get through, and it sends 2 cards off the top of your deck, which is where Wolf comes in for running 3, because then you can use Lightsworn Barrier, and then with how many times attack, they're running the risk of you getting a free Wolf. And then, but there is the downside of how Lightsworn Barrier, it might end up milling you too fast, which is where Pot of Avarice comes in, where you can just use it. And so Lightsworn Barrier just really works with a lot of the cards in here. So that's the deck, and then there are a lot of other ideas. I'm still playing around with this, so that's the end of this video. If you have any suggestions or comments, then make sure to post a comment at the bottom of the video, and I'll see you later, and